Hi, my name is Samantha Garza, and I'm the counselor at Meadow Creek Elementary. Today, I want to talk to you about grief. Right now, in the world we're surrounded in with a pandemic of COVID-19, our world is in the midst of grief. And sometimes we can't believe it. We don't even know what to call it. We can say, oh my gosh, I feel sad today, or my kid isn't wanting to homeschool, which I don't know about you, but I'm even struggling with at home and I'm in education. But what happens is our children are experiencing a form of grief, just like we are as adults. And I want to talk to you about that because it's important for us to all recognize that even though we're not all in a similar situation, we all really are in this together. So approximately 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago now, my mom actually passed away in the midst of COVID-19. It wasn't due to COVID-19, but she got sick unexpectedly. And I was very fortunate to be able to be with her initially, but then with the rise of COVID-19, they kicked us out of the hospital. Well, I was the only one with her, and it was difficult. It was difficult to leave because I knew she wasn't doing well. They called us back and said she wasn't going to probably make it, so they allowed us to come back, which I know is very rare in today's times. So it was very unfortunate, but I, along with my grandmother, got to stay by my mom's side and watch her as she passed away. That has been forever, and it will forever be something that is such, grief in my life. It's one of those moments that you can't explain, watching someone take their last breath. It's extremely hard and difficult. Some of you I know have done that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope that you understand you're not alone. Our kids are experiencing grief, even if they haven't experienced a traumatic loss such as that. But many of us are facing extremely challenging times. Sometimes we can even see children experience former grief or maybe even a loss, and then it resurfaces. So I want to talk a little bit to you about what grief looks like. What does it look like for you? What could it look like for me? What does it look like for our kids? And some examples of the stages of grief would be denial. Initially we think it's not happening. Anger, bargaining. The bargaining part is there anything I can do to fix this? As kids, we think that often. And then also the next stage could be depression. And I want to talk a little bit about that because often we can in our society look at that is such a negative thing. Mental health stigmas, right? If you're on medicine, we don't want to talk about it because it means that you're sick. But I think oftentimes we have to come to the last term of acceptance of it. So as a counselor, I'm going to think you are best helped when you can admit that you need help. It is so difficult in today's times to say, I need help. Because we often think, how will I be received? Will I be judged? And that's exactly how kids feel. If you think about a time that you've experienced grief yourself, you could ask yourself that. Was I okay to ask for help? Did I even know how to? And that's what happens often with kids. We can see them. I saw it even with my own kids. They got stuck in this anger phase, and then it would retaliate. And then, what would happen after? It would be the calm of the storm, but it would be an emotional outburst. And then you got down to the nitty gritty of the problem. And it all had to deal around pain, right? So when we're in pain, we can react in anger. So it's actually an important time for us all to have a little bit more understanding, compassion, and empathy toward one another. And also, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay for you to express yourself and tell your kids, I'm hurting right now. I do that with my own kids. I'm having a rough day. Your emotions can also go from the high to the medium to the low. And I personally, even as a counselor and experiencing those things, I have to allow myself to go through those things and really tell myself it's okay. It's part of the grieving process. And it's something that you really need to do. You need to process those stages of emotion, and you need to be able to express yourself. So I want to talk to you a little bit about ways that you can help your kids and model that for your kids. A big way would be just to let someone know, I'm here for you. You're not always going to know what to say. How many times has it been where you have experienced a loss or someone else has, and you're so scared about what to say? You don't know what to say, so you just don't say anything at all. And you feel bad about it. I know I've even been in that position. So be careful saying, I know exactly what you're going through, even if you went through something similar. Everyone's grief and pain isn't the same. But we can say, I'm here for you. And the best way is to check on people often. Hey, how are you today? If you don't know how to say that, just say, I'm thinking of you today. I've had so many friends and coworkers do that, and it brings my heart so much joy knowing that I have a body surrounding me. And kids need to feel the same thing. I see you're angry. Is there anything I can do to help you with that? And often they don't even know why. I did an activity with students before we left, and it was so powerful. I had them all sit in a circle. It was 2 classes. They all sat in a circle. And I asked the question, if you were crying, would you want people to stay by your side, or would you be embarrassed and want to be alone? And the majority of people said, I would want to be alone. But the other students in the class, about 6 of them raised their hands saying, I would want to know someone would just sat by me, even if they didn't have the words to say. And I was one of those people. We all agreed that sometimes our emotions can be different. We never know what we're feeling. One day we could say, hey, I want to be alone. And then the next moment we can feel we need someone. But it's difficult expressing that, but we have to try and do that so we can model appropriate behaviors for our kids and show them it's okay to grieve. I want to also tell you that there's a lot of different things you can do with students. Something we do with students is have them draw a picture. Explain to me what you're feeling in that picture. Can you draw me a happy memory that you have, or can you draw on a piece of paper how you're feeling? Will you tell me about that picture? Ask open questions. It helps with your conversation. Sometimes you can just get action figures out and say, you want to play with that? Another great thing that I use in my guidance office, my counseling office, is kinetic sand. I just have it in a little box that clips, and then they play with it, and often they just start talking. A lot of the times what I do is I say, you know what? Pick whatever you want, and I'll be with you in a minute. And you know what that does? It gives them a moment just to have some tranquility, some peace, and to get their thoughts collected. Once they've done that, I said, let me know when you're ready. I give them about 5 minutes. They're playing with a toy or sand, and then I go and check on them. And they're usually ready to talk. So sand toys, coping skills, you can do fidgets. Fidgets are a great little way for them to fidget with their finger. A great way you can make a fidget, it's really cheap if you have it laying around the house, are those binder ring clips. You take a binder ring, you open it, put beads on it, close it, and it's a finger fidget. It fits very perfectly around an adult's finger, but it can also work for a child. Then you can also blow up a balloon. And on the balloon, you can say, let's put all of our negative thoughts or all of our thoughts that are making us angry. And when we're done, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go outside and we're going to pop our balloon. And the kids love it. It's a simple activity, but it helps them to release their pain. Actually, yesterday, I took a whole bunch of mason jars. And there's a place that I know that you can throw glass. And I went out there and I threw every mason jar as I could. And I named the mason jar and I shouted my feeling. And, it helped me initially, but in the end, the release of emotion came. And that release of emotion came in tears. It was a release for my body to get the anger out. But in the end, it drained me. But that's normal. It was something I needed to do, and it was okay because I wasn't letting my anger out on someone else. And it was very therapeutic. And my husband went with me, and I had someone to hug after it was all done. So, allow kids to have a break. Allow them to take breaks. Allow them to talk. And just in closing, I want to let you know that if you want any more information on coping skills, feel free to visit my website. It's under the Meadow Creek Elementary website. And whenever you click on front office staff, you'll find Samantha Garza. And there's all kinds of coping skills on there. And then I'll also be posting a book on a free download that I've already paid for, and it's a grief workbook. It's a great resource. If you don't have a way to print, make your own at home on some notebook paper. It's a great tool just to use and to talk and work through it together as a family. So just in conclusion, I hope this video brings you some help and support. Remember, the kind of people I'm attracted to the most are the people who show their openness and their vulnerability, because those are real people. They're people who say, you know what, I'm not perfect. None of us are. I always tell the kids, none of us perfect. We all make mistakes, and that's how we get better. But whenever we let ourselves to be expressive, vulnerable, and put our emotions out there, it helps us in the healing process. And always remember, if you stay stuck in a phase or your child does, it's okay to get help. It doesn't mean that you're going to need that help forever, but it's okay to call your doctor, find a therapist. They do telehealth appointments, and it's okay to talk about that. It's okay if you need medication. It's okay if you need to talk to someone on a regular basis. Call a friend, reach out to someone. Just know you're not alone. I hope you're well, and take care. We're in this together.